Today we're here with Dr. Forbes Riley. She is incredible. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about her because she has just done so many things. So when I was looking through all your stuff, stalking you, you've done $2.5 billion worth of sales.
And that was just yesterday. It was so amazing.
I was like, I didn't read that part. Wow. You've done so many cool things. You've been on so many shows. You're known as the queen of pitch.
I am.
And is that because you've trained so many people in sales?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
You know, it's actually a very funny thing. So let's pick a jumping off point. It's funny when you talk about sales. I'm not talking about sales. Pitching is a life skill. You pitched me to be here. You didn't pay me to be here. She didn't pay me to be here. No, but it's a life skill when you invite someone to do something and they say yes.
Yeah.
Did your husband ask you to marry him?
Sure did.
And what was your answer?
Yes,
Well,
hard yes.
Right. Well, here, a hard yes. So what's interesting about that, that's a pitch.
Yeah.
And if he'd gotten a no, that means his pitch wasn't very good. He didn't really understand who he was pitching and what he wanted from that relationship. And sometimes people ask that question and get a no. Yeah. Not good pitchers.
Yeah.
And so if you can create this skill, and so a couple of things, and get out your pads because I have lots of fun nuggets. No, I do. That's what I do. I've only so much time on this planet. Let's teach. One of the things that you want to understand is that when you're excited about something, especially when you want to sell something, you want someone else to have it. And it sounds like this. Oh my God, you so need this. You need this new hair color thing. You need this new vitamin. You need this. We don't need anything. We never bought anything because we needed it. We buy it because we want to. And so how do you get someone to want what you have? So I'm going to write a little prediction here. Can you get me a pen and a piece of paper? I know that sounds crazy. I just have a camera guy to do a little magic trick. Somewhere he's going to find a pen and a piece of paper floating around. And he'll figure it out. There's one in my bag. Because I'm going to do something incredibly spontaneous. That's also what I'm known for, is living in the moment.
I love about you.
I don't have a speech. I don't have anything prepared. Here's what I'm doing with my life. I'm making it more exciting for you to live your life if you knew the things I know.
Which I love.
Right. You know, I was 20 years old and I was in my mom's house. My mom was a bit of an agoraphobic. And I just graduated college with 2 degrees in 3 years.
Wow.
Annoyingly smart. And you know what you get when you're annoyingly smart? You're very lonely. You don't have a whole lot of friends because you're always reading, you're always studying, you're always really focused. And I didn't really understand that that was a skill and a bit of a curse. And when I was 20 years old, I came to her with Europe on $20 a day. We'd never traveled at all. My dad was in the hospital for 3 years growing up. He had a horrible accident. And so our poor camera guy's going, you know what? He's like, come here, give me the pen. While we're on that, I put him on the spot.
John, you're going to be on the podcast.
I love putting people on the spot. I think it's what makes life so exciting. So I love the fact that her cameraman ran and got me a piece of paper and a pen. Blank paper. I'm going to make a prediction, okay? And it's a really important prediction when it comes to getting anything and everything that you want in life. Okay? So there's my prediction. We haven't really talked about this at all, did we?
No, not at all.
All right, so do you want to see something cool?
Yes, I do.
How did I know she would say yes? No, I'm serious. That was the prediction I just made, that you would say yes.
Because you're good at reading people?
No, because I asked the right question. In that particular case, it's very hard to turn that question down if you want to see something cool. Yeah. But I also know you. I can predict a whole bunch of things about you. I'm very good at reading people. And that's because when you're pitching, it's not about you. I'm pitching you to take an action. If I've studied what makes you tick, and I can look at your jewelry, your hairstyle, the clothes that you're wearing, the way you did your fingernails and your toes don't match. Her fingernails are blue, her toes are pink. Why did she do all of that? That comes from being an expert pitcher. Because if I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to want you to want my fitness product, for example. Did I take my fitness product out here? Did I put it somewhere? Hang on a second. He's got more work to do. No, I've got it right here. So I have something in my hand, okay? She has no idea what it is. But just like you all have a product or a service that you want someone else to use or have. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business. So you might as well figure out, how do I get customers? How do I service them? How do I keep them happy? How do they refer other people? And how do they keep coming back?
Yeah.
If you know all that, you have a life, don't you?
Right.
All right. So I have a product here, and it's a fitness product, but I'm not going to say that to you. I'm going to say, let's see, raise your right hand, if you would. Feel the back of your arm. Is it a little wiggly jiggly or super tight?
I don't want to answer that. It's medium.
It's medium. Would you like it tighter?
I would like it tighter.
Now, I would know that question because you're a beautiful woman. There's not a woman on the planet who doesn't want it tighter.
Thank you.
So give me your thumbs, if you would. Uncross your legs. And I'm going to put this in your hands, and you're going to do something for me. You're going to keep it spinning. You're going to go 10, 9, 8, go 7, 6, go 5, 4. Come on, keep going. 3. Yes, keep going. What are you feeling?
That's hard, actually.
Oh, really? Oh, how interesting. Now, if you put it on your here and you just punch, 10, come on, not punch like you mean it. Now, if you raise your hand up a little bit higher and you go out, you're going to start toning the back of your arm.
Wow.
And if you do that 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes, every day, You can have a tighter toner arm in 3 weeks. Would you like it?
Yes.
I got another yes. Oh my God, it's a whole show about yes. This is what I'm talking about. So the psychology of what I just did, I didn't tell you what it is, that I created it, that I'm in the National Fitness Hall of Fame. You don't care about any of those things.
I actually do care. That's interesting.
Well, no, but not before.
Right.
You don't care until you care.
Yeah, exactly.
So what most people would do in a sales pitch is go, okay, so I've got like the coolest product here. It's purple and Forbes Riley made it. And, you know, she's in the National Fitness Hall of Fame and she sold 2 million of these. Blah, 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 blah. All I asked you is you want to see something cool. Next thing you know, you're doing it. And somehow you're already involved and now you do have questions and you care. Yeah. That's what I do with everyone. I get them to understand how to communicate with another human being.
And you're good at it.
I am? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you know, really good at it.
Well, it's funny. I didn't know that I was good at it. And it's not what I set out to do. And I'm really determined because I love what I do. But I'm an actress and a television host. And I started the X Games and I had my own national talk show. And if Oprah had just moved over a little or Julia Roberts had moved over a little, I'm just kidding. But those were the careers that I wanted. And I've done it. I've done a lot of movies. In fact, I have a new movie coming out in April.
Wow.
And it's one that I co-invested in. And it's a female action hero, revenge movie. And I play the bad girl with an undertone set in the 1890s about sex trafficking.
Wow.
Which is very near and dear to my heart. Wow. I was, in fact, and I don't really publicly talk about this, but I will in my new book. I was 21 years old and trafficked. And I didn't know what was happening.
So sorry.
No, it's fine. It didn't end up, it was a very innocent, sweet story how it ended up. But I was over in London by myself, and if things had not gone right, I would have been in an Arabian somewhere and never heard from again. So I've had that personal, like up front and close. You have your life for a reason, do something with it. And it's funny, I've never articulated it that way before, ever in any conversation. It's something I started talking about the other night. And I'm like, I don't talk about this, but maybe I should. So you are witness to something that is very spirit-driven because I have a lot of crazy things that have happened in my life, including I raised a bonus son. I got a beautiful little boy from the Big Brother, Little Brother program when he was 12. When he was 8, sorry. I had him for 12 years. He was best man at my wedding.
Wow. And
he was murdered.
Oh, my
He was walking from a haircut to church on a Sunday morning wearing blue in the wrong neighborhood.
Oh.
And my wedding photo is on the cover of the LA Times. You know, you see those pictures of families that have gone through stuff. Well, when you are that family, life is very, very different. But someone said, how did you keep going? And I said, well, I had no choice. I was 40 years old when both my parents passed away within a year of each other, my best friends. Then 9/11 happened. My brother-in-law was in 9/11. We lost 9 of the guys I went to high school with. He survived, but just barely. We all mentally didn't survive for a very long time. And then I said I wanted to get pregnant, and luckily, by the grace of God, I did. I was 42 when I pushed out my twins, and 6 months later, Dexter was murdered. Oh. There was 5 years of my life where I just kind of look at this tornado and go, congratulations for surviving, because you didn't have to. But I'm also, remember I started out this how outrageous I am? Here's how I capped off the 5 years of hell. My architect came to me. We had a beautiful small house on a half an acre. And he said, you only have 2 bedrooms and you've got now 4 people living in the house. Let's rebuild it. Let's knock the cinder block down and put up wood. Same price, but it's going to cost $25,000 to knock it down. I didn't have $25,000. Certainly not to knock something. You can't get a loan for nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I said to him in my craziness, why don't we just blow it up? He said, what do you mean? I said, I have no idea. Mel Gibson down the road, we're in Hollywood, blew up a house for Lethal Weapon. Somebody might want a house to blow up. I literally went on the internet, on
Genius.
Production Hub. Thank you. And if you go to Forbes Riley explodes her home, you will see the video. Now,
I'm doing that the second you leave.
Here's the genius part. They hadn't invented the cell phone yet. Okay, this is 14, 15 years ago. And so I had a big video camera and I videoed my 2, 3, 4-year-olds watching their house being blown up because I said to myself, no one's going to believe what you're just doing. Then no one's going to believe it. I literally put this out there. 3 days later, there was a knock on my door. And it was the movie Live Free or Die Harder with Bruce Willis, installment number 5, and said, we're happy to blow up your house and we'll give you $25,000. And I'm like, so I videotaped it. I put it up there. It's really cute to see. I'm not even in it. I was just watching my kids. I also had this really wicked moment. I'm very big on parenting and specific things. And by the time you're 42, you've probably figured out something, right?
Yeah.
And so I also used to train dogs. So I trained my children like dogs. I know it doesn't sound good when I say it, but I will tell you, they would do all these little commands and all these fun things because I realized that a dog doesn't speak English. Did you know that? No, but
I would imagine. I don't know.
Well, no, but most people don't. Because here's how I know. Fido, shame on you. You ate my shoe. I don't want you to do that. The dog is like, what the heck is she talking? I don't speak English, lady. Just tell me what you want. But if you hold a treat out and you ask for their paw and you give them the treat, when they give you the paw, they're like, oh, okay, I got a treat. I'll do the paw thing. And so if you can train behaviors, you win. I train my children's behaviors. And to this day, I will tell you in a whole nother podcast, because you have 6 kids, that the things that I did have paid off. And you know how I know? Because my kids are 21 and they tell me. Wow. They tell me that, Mom, the fact that you didn't discipline us, but you made us discipline ourselves, is a real thing in college for me. Other kids are doing stupid stuff and I have no desire to. Thank you, Mom. So I had a lot of those theories, right? Well, one of my theories was that when my daughter was like 16 years old, she's probably going to bring some boy home that I don't like, right? And I'm going to go, let me show you this video. I blew up your bedroom once. If I don't like him, I'm going to blow it up again.
She's trained.
She's trained. She's like, all right, Mom, I'm not showing you.
She really is trained, though, because you just said both your kids are 21, right?
Yes, they are.
And one of them runs one of your businesses?
Oh, let me share something. She doesn't run my business. She runs her business, and I work for her.
Wow. And she's 21.
Well, it's a beautiful story of a young woman who figured it out. At 12 years old, she started doing drop shipping. She fell in love with the internet. She used to be my right hand. She would come with me to all my events. One year I pulled her out of school 50 days. Wow. And she met people like Les Brown and Kevin Harrington and Sharon Lecter and all the big people. And she would sit and just talk to them and ask them questions. She also used to sit when I was doing home shopping. I did HSN and QVC for 28 years. And she would sit in the back just because she wanted to be with me. And then she would hand me notes. And she's like, Mom, your models were not smiling. You really shouldn't have done that. And your host doesn't. And I'm like, you're a kid. How would you? Like, my producers were not telling me these things. Well, fast forward to 17. She and her twin brother are doing high school in my house because COVID. She comes downstairs and said, Mom, let me build a business for you. And I'm like, what? She said, look, I've been watching. I've watched the digital marketers that have screwed you over. I watched the time that you invested that and it didn't pan out. I've watched you be really sad and I just want to fix it for you. And I was like, okay, what am I going to teach? And she said, well, teach pitching. I said, see, I can't teach pitching because I'm the one who does it. I'm so brilliant. She said, Mom, I appreciate that, but there's an SOP for what you're doing. And I'm like, what's an SOP? She's like, Mother, stands for Standard Operating Procedure. How can you not know these things and run a company? I'm like, well, because I'm an actress. I'm an artist. I don't think with that side of my brain very often. And I also, many years ago, I used to do infomercials. Have you watched infomercials?
Oh, yeah.
Remember Jack LaLanne Juicer?
Vaguely, yeah.
I'll show it to you and you'll go, oh. So a lot of people don't remember Jack anymore. He died 10 years ago. He's the reason that we have health clubs and fitness clubs on every corner. Wow. He started the first one in 1938.
Oh, he was the older guy with all the muscle, right? Was that
yes.
him? Okay.
He also pulled 70 boats full of 70 people.
Yes, yeah, I do remember, yeah.
Mark Wahlberg is going to play him in a movie in April based on a book that we wrote with his wife.
Wow.
Because nobody remembers the legacy. Wow. So this was an interesting, my daughter grew up with, he's my daughter's godfather. Wow. And so she watched and was around. She'll still quote me things from the moment that she met Jack. If man made it, don't eat it. Well, Mom, did man make the apple? No, you can have the apple. Did man make the Cocoa Puffs? I'm like, yeah, look at the cornstarch. And so she grew up around all of the beautiful people that I had access to. And she started formulating opinions and thoughts about all of this. But I was so big in infomercials. I was literally printing money at some point. And I brought a $100,000 contract to my agent. I said, negotiate this for me. 2 days later, he calls me back and he says, wow. He said, I got good news and bad news. The good news is they love you. And I'm like, yeah, it's my client. He said, yeah, but the bad news is they want somebody younger and less expensive. I was only 40 at the time. And I found her for them. And I'm like, well, you did what? He said, no, but the good news is they want you to teach her how to pitch, to teach what you do. I said, wait a second, let me just check. Is hell frozen over? Yeah, I'm never, and I literally said to whoever was listening, I am never teaching anybody this. I have a skill that if other people knew it, they would get what they want and screw them. And that's the attitude I had. And for 2 decades, I didn't teach anybody. Wow. My daughter comes down to them and she's like, Mom, you should teach this. And I'm like, no. She's like, Mom, I know I look young, but I got a pretty old soul here. You made a lot of money, but if you want a legacy, you have to teach other people to do what you do. Out of the mouths of babe. We sat in a room, my little sunroom, for 3 solid weeks, breaking down, watching my videos, going, Mom, this is what you do. Why'd you do that? I did it because we made an entire course. I went online, my very first little webinar, little training. Sorry, I had 25 people in it. Just 25, middle of COVID, right? And we were selling a $1,000 program because I'd sold trainings before. I've been teaching my whole life, but I taught I didn't teach pitching. I didn't teach the core thing about how I run my life, about what makes me successful. And so I said, all right, I'll do a 3-week training. It's $1,000. The next morning I opened up my account and I said, McKenna, what does the K stand for? She said, what do you mean? Oh, I said, because it says 25K in my account. It said zero yesterday. It's like, Mom, you grossed $25,000. Wow. You sold every one of the people in that room your course. And I'm like, we did? Like, it was such a shock. And then I did that same thing 4 times. You know what that adds up to? A 6-figure business that everyone talks about, that a 17-year-old owns. She started the business and I decided to work for her. Wow. 6 months later, $1.2 million. We got our 2 Comma Club Funnel Award, which means that you made $1 million in one digital funnel. And 4 years later, we have a company. We have employees all around the world. And her twin brother, by the way, it's funny. It's interesting to watch this. Her twin brother is very dad-centric. And my ex-husband is a Notre Dame All-American football player. 6'6", big guy. Wow. Son wants to be like Dad. Right. Dad's like, you go to college. And he's like, but Mom, I'm like, don't ask me. I don't think I went to college. I graduated. I get it. What you guys know is more than college will ever teach you right now.
Oh, totally.
But I'm going to say that you have the money. I saved my whole life for him to go to school. You have the money, because if you had to do it like I did, where my parents and I were in debt for 20 years, I would say no. But I'm like, go, enjoy your time. He got into Babson, the school of his choice. It's an entrepreneurial college, the best in the world. I said, go, enjoy your time. You're a little younger. Do that. Your sister's making money. She's speaking on stages, but that's her path. And don't compare, because you guys are both amazing. And then they started their own software company about 3 weeks ago.
Oh my goodness. Kate, I have a question about this, because this is all so impressive. Your kids are both 21.
Yep. They're 10 minutes apart.
They're 10 minutes apart.
Long 10 minutes.
That is so rare for that generation. I mean, I feel so old saying that, but for that generation, because there's this huge idea right now that work is the devil and everyone wants to be a victim. And, I don't know if you've noticed that, but
it comes from parents. It comes from the news.
Yeah. How do we avoid that? That's what I'm saying.
Well, a couple of things. Thank you, COVID. You know what COVID did for me? It took my kids out of society for 2 years and stuck them in my house.
Wow.
And I probably should have homeschooled them. I didn't want to. But if COVID hadn't happened, they would have gone down this path and I don't think I would have seen them. Wow. But because they were in my house for 2 years, and that's very formidable years when my daughter said, Mom, I don't want to lose you. I want to be in your world. I want to help you. That's a very unique scenario.
Yeah.
I will tell you that society right now, we are working very hard to diminish a lot of things. A lot of the things and principles that we worked really hard for about your personal identity, whatever it is. It's a very confusing time to be a kid. I would put here, like, go, la, 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 stop listening. Because my kids learned what they learned from my work ethic, which is my heritage. My parents didn't have anything. Yeah. I watched my dad in the hospital for 3 years suffer as the breadwinner, and how my mom made a life for my sister and I out of nothing. Wow. And I was determined that my kids were going to have a better life than I was. So you, as a parent, if you don't choose to teach your kids, somebody else will.
Someone will, yeah.
And they will get philosophies. If you don't sit down and have that family dinner and family vacations and decide that you build your life the way you want. How do I know that? Well, because number one, being 42 years old as a mom gave me a lot of life before I had kids. If you're 21 and having kids, you're still trying to figure it out while you're raising babies. So odds are they're going to get influenced by a lot of other people. And like you said, Dexter he had a mom in South Central Los Angeles, where black, very dark black, and my mother loved him but couldn't raise him.
Right.
And when I got him in our world, he literally said things like, because my ex-husband's father lived on a hill. He said, well, that's where white people live. And I said, no, let's go knock on doors. This is where rich people live. Black, Puerto Rican, Chinese, and white. Wow. Nothing to do with race here. This is about ability, commitment, and that's what success is. So stop playing this little card down there that you think has anything to do with the color of your skin. And I can't say this for everybody, but I went to town on Dexter. And I thought I was raising a very powerful, smart, open-minded young man. Yeah. And the only real sadness I have, aside from the fact his life was cut short, was that he didn't see Obama become president. I'm like, dude, a black man became the highest office in this country. I told you
can do it.
You could do anything, that it had nothing to do with what you're being told it does.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can change the entire world, but I do have a little bit of a platform because I went through that.
Sure.
But it's a very heated time at the moment. I know how I raised my kids. Yeah. I also raised my kids. Remember I said the thing about dogs. I trained my children. Now you have a lot of young ones, right?
Right.
You have the ability to train them. And it's really important that you do that. So for example, I watched my mom My mother was an only child, daughter of Ukrainian immigrants. Wow. When she finally had 2 girls, she wanted them both to be her best friend. She was a little agoraphobic and never helped me and my sister develop a relationship. In fact, kind of an envy thing. She didn't know she was doing this.
Sure.
But as a psychologist, as a person who cares about this, a little doctorate before my name, I cared to study this. And I said, I would love to be in the middle of my kids, my twins, but what if I step out a little bit? What if I make them rely on each other? These 2 kids slept in the same room until they were 10 and a half years old.
Wow.
They had to talk, and a boy, girl. Yeah. And it was more about them just wanting to be around each other, download with each other, hang with each other. Yeah. I taught them all these little tricks and tips on how to be friends. Yeah. And so what I noticed is there were 5 groups of twins in their grade growing up through school. None of them behaved like my kids do. My daughter, because she now runs a company, she makes money, which he's excited to do as well. But she just planned this trip for the 2 of them to go off to Belize to scuba dive, climb a volcano in Guatemala, and hang out with their original. When I first raised them, I had this beautiful nanny who helped me. She was Guatemalan, and she was the most wonderful woman to get me through all the trauma we were going through. And they went to visit her. They then went off last year to Croatia and Greece on their own, the 2 of them. And I will tell you,
it's so beautiful.
It is. Oh my God,
so beautiful.
And not that we're perfect. There's certainly a little inviting and whatever, but they rely on each other because I stepped out and said, guys, look, mommy's going to travel and do this stuff. You're going to hang with each other. Yeah. And I allowed that space. The other thing I did, and I'm going to share this because you're going to love this. I can only imagine your little Von Trapp family doing this. We had a what do you want game. And this goes back to pitching. Everything in life comes down to what do you want. Most people don't know what that is. Oh, I want so many things. Just give me one. If you're going to eat from a buffet, you cannot eat everything. I know you want everything. Start with something, eat it, and then move on. And then you can start dessert. I don't care, but start somewhere. So when they were little, now imagine this. How little is your littlest one?
1.
All right. So somebody told me that kids don't share. And I thought, well, that won't work for me. I don't want chaos in my house. So your children are going to say to you, I want something. What do they typically say I want?
Ice cream for breakfast.
I want ice cream. I want a cookie. I want to go to sleep earlier. I don't. Whatever it is, the words I want are your trigger, okay? This is the title of my new book, I want to be a great parent. I would tell the 2 of them to go wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Now, I'd say it specifically. Remember, when dogs don't speak English, you have to do it in a certain way. So what do you want? You want a cookie? If you want a cookie, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And they both would. That was so damn cute. They made me laugh.
So cute.
Then I would say, command number 2, if you want a cookie, touch your nose. Because they have to learn body parts, right? Mm-hmm. If you want a cookie, wiggle your face. If you want a cookie, I don't know, go around in a circle. I would do 7 of those. Yeah. For the 8th one was always the same. If you want a cookie, say I love you to each other. If you want a cookie, number 9, give each other a big hug and kiss. And if you want a cookie, come over here, give me a big hug and say, Mommy, I love you.
I love that.
We did this 30 to 50 times a day.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to tell you, you may think that's funny, but we would do it every time they wanted something. I would stop them, make them do this. Everybody in our world knew that we had it, and they're like, okay, fine. And they're little, they don't know. My kids are about 9, they're at a party. I'm like, I wonder if that's stuck. Hey guys, come here for a second. So they're like, Mom, I want something. I'm like, really? If you want this, would you wiggle, wiggle, wiggle? They looked at each other like, I'm like, it's ingrained in them. Now, the other thing that happened was one time my daughter hung up the phone. She calls me back. She's like, Mom, what's up with that? I'm like, what? I got to go. She's like, you didn't say I love you. Oh. They were trained to say I love you to each other. They were trained to give each other a hug. They were trained to say, Mommy, I love you.
I love that.
I'm going to full circle this. So when I was younger, my mom was held up at the house at gunpoint.
Oh my goodness.
And they stole all of our jewelry. My parents were in the gun club. I'm not quite sure why it happened. They took the only real piece of, I was going to get a beautiful necklace for my grandmother. It was with a little tiny diamond chip, and it was a locket. They took that. They took everything. And so I grew up with a weird sense of jewelry. Like I would hide it, or I don't want it. Don't give me gifts because someone will take it. At one point, my daughter saw this. My in-laws were shopping for some jewelry, and we're at a cruise. And I had this feeling, when something triggers you?
Oh, yeah.
Unexplained. It doesn't matter. I'm in a jewelry store, and he's like buying her that, and I'm like getting triggered. And my beautiful girl says, Mom, do you want something here? You okay? I'm like, I'm fine. Notice I'm fine. She's like, well, do you want something? I'm like, no. She said, can you afford this stuff here? I said, I could afford everything in that box. She said, well, then why don't you get yourself something? I'm like, I don't want it. I didn't think I realized how I said that. And she was left with, I think I want to buy my mom something nice every year that I'm alive. She said that to me. At 14 years old, this showed up. This is a beautiful, real diamond necklace. I'm like,
oh, it's beautiful.
How did you get that? She's like, I sell stuff online, Mom, and I made money, and it's all my money. It's not yours. But she said, I'm not kidding about it. I want to do this. And I know that you always look at everyone's engagement rings, and you never got one. I was so emotional. Why am I telling you all this?
Oh, so beautiful.
She takes me out for lunch, and she says, I made you something for your birthday. And I'm expecting a car. You know, she's 18. I'm expecting something cute. She opens up a ring box, and inside the ring box is this. She designed it. She had it made. She insured it. And she's like, I'm like, why would you do that? She said, because you never had one. You deserve it, and I want you to be happy.
You have amazing kids.
No, we all do. It's how I raise them.
Right.
Kids are amazing by the fact that they're here.
Yeah.
How you raise them, what they see, how you talk to your husband, how you show affection. My kids will tell you that they never saw my ex and I really hug and kiss because we didn't by the time they were old enough. So they didn't see that beautiful part. My daughter saw a woman who was hurt, who was angry, who'd been screwed over, who was really smart and not appreciated enough. That was the impression that my daughter got of me. And so for the last 4 years when we started this company, she's the full-on CEO. She runs it, tells me what I need to do, where I need to go. We made couple of $1 million business. And I don't know how long she'll do this for. She's 21. But I got to tell you.
Beautiful exchange that you guys have right now.
You get to do this one time.
And I hope I do it right. Along those lines, can I ask you? I'm like, please. Every day I'm wondering if I'm screwing them up. I'm like, please just help me do a good job. But I want to ask you something about that because before the cameras were rolling, we were talking about how you have this amazing husband. You have this incredible relationship where you guys love each other and you appreciate him so much. You speak so highly of your husband. And can I say that I really personally admire that because whenever I've gone out with my friends, and I don't know why, especially when there's a lot of women, they start complaining about their husbands. Right. And people will always say to me, why don't you ever say anything? I'm like, because my husband's amazing. Why would I complain about my husband? I think he's awesome. But part of something you said struck me. You said it's because you have been through such hard times. You appreciate him so much. And you don't necessarily need to go into details if you don't want to with your ex or anything. But can you touch on that a little bit?
So here's something as people, I was going to say as women, you get what you tolerate. I grew up a little damaged, like many people do. I grew up with a mom who was a bit of an agoraphobic, always overweight, diabetic, how she lived her life, her own body, viewed food, it affected me. And you can always either go towards something or away from it. I looked at all that she did and said, I don't want to be that. I love you so much. If I could fix my mom, I would. I tried so hard. Yeah. And then I looked at my dad, who was this inventor and a magician, and I gravitated towards, and I talk about both of them in my stories all the time.
Sure.
I do magic tricks because of my father, because of the lessons that I learned from him. Wow, how insanely emotional is this? I ended up picking a beautiful man. My ex-husband, by the way, is an amazing guy. Don't kid yourself. He just happens to have a few behavioral quirks that didn't work. And I have to be very mindful because it's all going to get back to him, and my goal is not to hurt him. Sure. He and I are still business partners.
Wow.
So if you've ever loved me...
This says a lot about you.
If you've ever loved me, my very first boyfriend, who I lost my virginity to, he was at my wedding. Wow. You know, if I love you and you're my friend, I don't have any family. My parents died without, they don't have relatives. I don't have cousins. I didn't have anybody else. So it was only the four of us. And a lot of that was me and my parents. I don't talk to my sister anymore because she literally said to me at one point, the only thing we have in common is dead parents. So while they did a lot of nice things, they didn't do a great job of sibling relationships. That's okay. You know, we all walk this path in life. And when it all fell apart, we chose to raise our children together. So we're not like any other couple I've ever met. It's a very unique relationship. He is on some level probably my best friend. Isn't that crazy? And we still see each other almost every day.
Says so much about you. That's so impressive.
How about his new girlfriend who has, she brought 2 kids to the relationship, has an office in my building. I see his girlfriend all the time. I adore her.
Wow.
And you know how you know you're in the right path? The universe does this to you. It's like, what? Look. I'm like, look at what? Okay, great, crazy story. Imagine I own a big television studio. My ex does all my books and my accounting. His girlfriend has a midwifery there. I have my studio. Joshua has his gym in the back. It is this crazy family.
And Joshua's your husband.
Joshua's my husband now. And I do live this. I don't think many people would have a business with their ex-husband.
No.
Well, kind of important to understand. He made a promise to my parents he was always going to look out for me. And he's keeping his promise.
Wow, says a lot about him too.
I know. Great people. You just don't have to be compatible. Right. And he was also a football player, and he'll tell you maybe there's a little bit of an anger issue. Who knows? I don't want to talk bad about him anymore at all. because I wouldn't be in business with him. So this just happened 2 weeks ago. When I was getting ready to give birth, actually before that, do you have a great gynecologist, by the way?
Yeah, I do.
It's a really intimate question.
Yeah.
I asked that question, but he doesn't back there. He has no idea what we're talking about. See, look,
Let's get into this, John.
I just made the camera guy turn so red.
His wife just gave birth 1 week ago.
All right. Well, so here's what happened. So I was in LA and I'm like, I need a gynecologist. One of my girlfriends said, oh, I know the best I just love him. I'm like, nobody loves their gynecologist. I meet Dr. Stuart Fishbein, and he is a charmer and sweet and would talk to you in a time when doctors were not interested in talking to you. And when I got pregnant, I said, do you deliver babies? He's like, that's the greatest joy in my life. And then I looked at a picture on his wall. He had hand-delivered triplets on my birthday. And I'm like, oh, you're my guy. Yeah. And it was a challenging pregnancy. I gave birth to 2 full-term, 7-pound babies at 42 that he literally pulled out. One, my son came out and my daughter took another 10 minutes. He came to their first birthday party. Now, I don't know quite why. We weren't really that close, but there was something very miraculous about what had happened, and he became friends with my husband during the delivery. Who knows? And then I haven't seen him in 20 years, right? I'm looking at my schedule on the bookings in my space, and I see Dr. Stuart Fishbein. Now, that's in California. I live in Florida. There's no way that my gynecologist from 20 years ago is teaching a class in my studio now. And he's doing it because of my ex-husband's girlfriends. She's a midwife, and they know each other, and that's how I just had breakfast with him.
No coincidences at all.
That's God going,
yeah,
check it out. All the things that you're doing, it may seem strange to other people, but it's working for me, and just keep going.
That is so beautiful. Well, like even how this came about, you know? Like I got to know Marianne, and then I got to know Jeff, and then Jeff knew you, and all these things, like things don't just happen.
No, they don't. So, and what's funny, we could talk, by the way, I do need to be mindful of the time.
I shut my phone off.
I did too.
Sorry, John.
Yeah, so we have about 5 more minutes, which is really sad because I would love to do this again.
Oh, I could listen to you all day.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that. And I do want to, well, it's funny because we're talking about, even at the Experience Center, about doing a women's event. Yeah. Because I don't think women talk real. No, I don't have a role model who's a woman. Whenever I was said that I want to be this motivational speaker, we would always go Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Les Brown. I'm like, okay, that's great. They're all men. Where's the women? And then they would go, Oprah? Like, I love Oprah. Oprah's great, but Oprah's not my role model. She's not a mom.
Right.
For the last 21 years, if you're a mom and you're noticing this now, it doesn't matter what you want to do. If you are a mom, you're always thinking about them. You can't not.
Yeah.
And you're going to think about them in perpetuity. So you're always thinking on 7 different levels. Where are they? Are they safe? Are they doing this? And in the back of my head, I kind of know where my son is. I know what my daughter's doing. When they're in Belize every day, I would have these rumbles in my tummy. So, who was my role model? My role model was like Barbara Walters back then. It's not interesting. No. What if you had a real role model who could lay out a path as a woman who's been through a lot and is still here and did it with a sense of grace and elegance, and that is what I managed to create. And I love my life. I love my life with Joshua, who I created out of thin air. I can literally share with you what manifesting is. In fact, we take it so seriously in my world that we call it Forbesing it.
Oh, wow.
What have you Forbesed lately? And to Forbes something means to manifest it, is to make it real, especially when no one else thinks it's possible. And I'll have you on my show, and I'll let her speak at that point.
No, we want to hear you. We're all good.
No, I appreciate. No, but I also want to hear you. I mean, 6 kids is a lot of kids. Looking as beautiful as you do, having a great relationship with your husband. Those things are modelable and ask. Like, I want to know. Oh, thank you. I want to know how you run your life and a beautiful home and do all this and make it look effortless. And I'm sure you do.
Oh,
except when it's not.
Oh, no.
But here's the thing: if you look at somebody who's this beautiful, and by the way, I have a real prejudice against blonde, blue-eyed people.
Oh gosh.
Even if it's not real.
Oh, gosh.
No, seriously. Because I grew up as an ugly little awkward girl.
I don't believe that.
Well, I'll show you the photo. No, this is not a joke. You have to go, Forbes, that's why you're who you are. I had a broken nose. I broke my nose when I was like 8, and forever it was always off the side of my face. I had teeth that went in different directions. I had braces for 8 years. And for 2 of those years, I had a tongue twister and I couldn't talk. So I didn't have any friends.
Which is ironic because before the cameras were rolling, I said, you got to be the hottest 63, 64-year-old.
I'm the hottest 22-year-old you've ever seen.
I know, because we were talking about your age, and I'm like, there's no way you're so smoking hot.
Well, thank you. Because I decided to do that. When I was younger, especially girls who look like you. No, but this is really important.
So
Where's
nice.
that camera? Look at her. She is pretty, blonde.
You're so nice.
She has big... I wanted you look a little bit like Marsha Brady with the
my
part
gosh.
down the middle. I
More
wanted
like
that.
Jan, but
Okay, but I had hair that made me look like a triangle. I couldn't talk. I had a crooked nose. I was overweight, and I just wanted to be pretty. And no one wanted to be my friend because they couldn't even talk to me.
so sad.
No, it's not sad. It's perfect. Because if I wasn't her, I wouldn't be me now.
Wow.
I love who I am now. I wouldn't trade this.
I love who you are now.
Yeah, and I'm on a mission to have women like you tell me that. And then to look at a woman like you going, you know what? I now look at you and I wouldn't want your life either because I know you've been through some shit, haven't you?
Oh gosh.
Right. But see, we don't know
yes.
that. Just the way you looked at me when I said I was ugly, like, oh no, I'm like, oh yeah. This is what's important to reveal. That all of this, while you make it look easy, it hasn't been. And that you are the sum of all the things that got you here. And so I'm going to ask you guys to embrace all the things that hurt you. I mean, and I'm talking trauma. I'm talking sexual, people have predated, I have so many people in my life who've gone through so much. We choose to be here. So let's take stock of what we want to be doing, of what makes us happy, and how we help other people along the way.
I love it. You are such an inspiration, and I'm so thankful that you would come here today, even though she's got this flight to catch.
I know.
She doesn't even live in Utah, and she made this time, and I know you've got a super tight schedule, and go check her out. There's so many things and so many aspects to talk about. It could be sales, it could be life, it could be anything. She's got so much to offer. So
one of the
Dr.
things
Forbes
you want to do-
Riley,
So if
thank
you
you.
go to ForbesRiley.com,
Thank you.
You'll learn a little about who I am, what I'm doing. But if you go to free gift from Forbes, what is waiting for you there is this thing I called 1 Minute to Millions. It is how you begin to talk about yourself. So we've had a really good conversation. Now, I will tell you, the reason that I chatted so much is that your soul inspired mine.
Thank you.
I normally just sit here and let people ask me questions. I felt this need to share these things because I think my soul just wants you to know these things, especially as a
so
mom with young
grateful.
kids, right?
So grateful. Thank you.
And it makes me feel like I matter.
You do matter.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, you do matter. And I'm so thankful that you would take that time, seriously. And I have so much to think about too. And especially when you're talking about your kids and this one chance that we have, I'm sitting there thinking, please don't mess this up. But I'm so glad that you've been
Okay,
this
so
example.
I'm going to tell you cancel. Say cancel.
Cancel.
Don't even put out to the universe the word mess this up because that's never going to happen. So every word that you speak, and that's what this little template that you're going to get really helps you understand that words matter. So if I said, I'm a real estate agent, that's great for you. If I say I'm the real estate agent, that means you're something different. So if one word could matter that differently, what's the new prayer to God about your kids? I pray that every day that I am the most spectacular mom they've ever imagined. I pray every day that they're happy and healthy. And that's just it, because guess what? You're going to mess up all kinds of shit.
I know. I already do.
So for you, praying not to mess it up is silly. Yeah. You're going to embrace it. Oh my God. I will tell you, that great little daughter that I've got who runs my company is Miss Wonderful. She hit 12. She woke up one day and was like, who are you and what have you done for me lately? And I'm like, what?
I keep hearing this.
I'm like, what? She's like, don't touch me. I'm like, get over here. Don't touch me. I'm like,
oh, the hormones.
You've got to be kidding me. And the funny thing is my son went the other way and hugs me all the time. But for 2 years, my daughter will tell you that she hated me. And it was not me she hated. I think it was the concept of mom. I don't know. Maybe she did hate me. Who knows?
She's like a 12-year-old girl. Every single one of them.
So what does that mean? It means everything that you do, no matter what it is, you're going to screw up on some level because you cannot control it. So the last thing I'll leave you with, I redefined words. When I was growing up, the word all used to freak me out. When I was younger, I was in my 30s, everyone in New York had it all. Having it all was 2.5 kids, having the house in suburbia, having the beautiful husband. I didn't have any of that. I was a struggling actress, so I didn't have it all. So I'd walk around feeling depressed. Then one day I tripped and all fell on its head. And it became, instead of all, it was ALL. Like, well, what do you think that means? A loving life. I've got that. And now I could really say, without lying to myself, I have it all. I've always had it all. And that changed my demeanor. Like when you stop saying mess up, all of a sudden I had it all. Then I said, what other word can I change? I hated the word diet. I was overweight most of my life. I always fought my weight. And by the way,
Really?
let me tell you something.
I've got to see some of these pictures.
I'm happy to show you pictures. I had little chunky thighs because I can't even believe it's real. I literally go, there's some mistake here.
You look great.
Thank you. And so I changed the word diet because diet to me was starvation, deprivation, calorie counting. And then one day I was like, wait, diet simply means DIET. Decisions I eat today.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, I got that. I can figure out if I want a brownie today, that's cool. Or if I want to not. And then the other one I'm going to leave you with was I redefined the word, well, before I get to that, sexy. I say sexy all the time. When I say sexy, what do you think?
Smoking hot, I don't know.
Right. So I think sexy means SEXY, seeing excellence in yourself.
Wow.
I don't need to be sexy for him or for you. I want to look in the mirror and go, sexy is this. Sexy is strong, fit, well hydrated, well groomed, whatever it is that sexy is to me. If you can look in the mirror and go, girl, you're sexy. You walk in carrying that thing about you, because sexy also has this thing about it. But the other one was mom. So growing up, my mom was a little challenging. I loved her, but I didn't want to be her. And then when you have kids, it's this. Mom, can I have this? Mom, can you change my diaper? Mom, I need it. It's like, oh my God, why do I want a mom thing? And then I said, let me redefine mom. MOM became moments of memories.
I love that.
You don't remember hardly anything of your mom. You remember maybe 20 moments. You really thought about them.
Yeah.
You have an overall arcing thing about your mom.
Yeah.
So that one time you missed the school play, don't beat yourself up, because they won't remember it either, unless you make a big deal about it. But if you just keep going, when my kids were little, I had to change their birthday, because the first 2 years I was working on their birthday, they didn't know. I said to the relatives, they're never going to know. So yeah, we're putting a hat on, and I don't care if it's 3 months. I think we celebrated, literally it was like 3 months later, we celebrated their birthday. And that was okay. So you get to write these rules. But if you ask my daughter and say the word baked potato, she'll tell you of a baked potato that she and I had in a theater outside of London on our very first trip to see some musicals. If you say Great Wall of China, she'll remember that all these people, because she's blonde, all of these Chinese people took pictures of her because she had this little round face and she was a little rock star. That memory. We have dozens of memories that we've carved out, we talk about, so that we do remember them. And so that's what mom is. Yeah. And of course, the ring. So make some great memories with each one of your kids separately. That's all they're ever going to remember you at the end of your life.
Thank you. Thank you for that advice. So, you don't even know how much I needed that today. You're so inspired, really. This morning was one of those hard mornings where I'm thinking like, gosh, what am I doing wrong? But I'm so glad that you've kind of put me
anything wrong. You're being
in a better direction.
Mom is amazing.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I can feel
you're
I'm
so
sitting here
awesome.
crying. Oh, I
Thank
know. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad I met you. Thank you.
You are so awesome. Thank you so much. Seriously, I know you guys, she is so busy, you don't even know. The fact that you would come do this means so much to me. So thank you so much.
Oh, so welcome.